Why, God? Why, God, do you allow bad things to happen? Last week, Friday, I was on the way home from Wisconsin. I was doing it's called DOMOps, Domestic Operation Training. Training for any chemical, biological, terrorist attacks that might happen on our soil. We're in the training last week, Friday, at 7 o'clock in the morning, and of course, over the television, the news, we all heard what went on in Aurora, Colorado, with the shooting that took place in the theater. If not the worst, one of the worst shootings within our nation. There was 12, I think there might be a few more that have passed away now. 70 people were shot. And a big question is, why? Why, God? On the way home, it was interesting as I'm driving from Wisconsin, because I like to listen to talk radio. I like to listen to conservatives or liberals or Democrat or Republican. I mean, all the different types of talk radio. It's interesting that so many of the talk radio people were sort of jumping on bandwagons. So, see, we need gun control. See, everybody has to carry a gun. I'm thinking, it's not about that. It's not about that. It's about the pain and loss of life. And the question is, why, God? I don't know, I mean, if some of you haven't been touched by this yet, you will be touched by this someday. Because we all are. In the Scriptures, you can go back to the book of Job. And Job loses all of his children and loses all of his finances. Why, God? Think about David as David is being chased by King Saul. And King Saul wants to kill David. David, in some of the Psalms, do you know that about a third of the Psalms are called Psalms of Lament? Because they're Psalms that the author is saying, why, God? Why is this happening? A third of them are. Okay, side train. This comes from my office prayer time this morning. Thinking about lament. There's the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem. The Wailing Wall in Jerusalem. Who knows what that Wailing Wall actually is? Who said that? Charlotte. Yes, foundation of the temple. It's all that's left of the temple that King Herod had created or had built, and when it was destroyed by the Roman Empire when they came in 70 A.D. The Wailing Wall is all that is left of the temple. I bring that up because lest I say the four people with me in the prayer time this morning didn't know where the Wailing Wall came from or what it was. So now you know, when you hear about it, the Wailing Wall, or a wall of lament, is what's left of the Jewish temple. So Jewish people like to go there and they lament. We ask, why, God? Well, you think about even within our own history. Haven't we had enough? World War I, World War II, the Korean War, Vietnam. Now we've been in the quagmire for the last 20 years overseas in the Middle East. We have witnessed the Holocaust, the genocide in the Soviet Union, the genocide in China, famines in Africa, the killing fields of Cambodia, AIDS, the emergence of AIDS around the world. Rwanda, ethnic cleansing in Kosovo in the last 10, 15 years. So much has been going on. And then you think about just since the year 2000. We have 9/11. We have the Syrian slaughters going on. We have the whole stuff going on again now within the land of Palestine, with the Palestinians and all that's taking place there. And the question begs to be asked, why, God? There was a study a few years ago that was done, nationwide within America study, that asked the question, if you could ask God anything, what would you ask? You know what the number one thing people would ask? Why? Why is there suffering? Why, God, if you are an all-powerful God, don't you stop the suffering and the pain? If you've created it all, why don't you put an end to all the evil in the world? Well, I can't stand in the place of God. And I really don't know. And I really don't understand all the reasons why evil happens. But I do know a few things. And it's not that I know it, but this teaches it. And I want to share a few ideas about maybe not why does God allow things to happen, well, partly because why, but more the outcome of what takes place. More the outcome. Because see, the reality is, why does God allow suffering? Jesus Christ himself says, in this world you will have trouble. I think pastors and other Christian people do maybe non-Christians who become a Christian or baby Christians a disfavor when we talk about and we preach and teach prosperity gospel, or when we say, well, when you become a Christian, all your problems are going to be gone and all this is going to be wonderful and glorious and days like today outdoors. The reality is, Jesus himself says, you will have trouble. We live in a fallen world. We live in a sinful world. We will have trouble. That's the reality of the matter. As I said in the beginning, if you have not asked that question yet, God, why? You will someday. It's the reality I think all of us will ask someday. But Paul says in Corinthians, now we see in a poor reflection as in a mirror. And you got to remember that for this time, 2,000 years ago, the mirrors were not like we have now. They were not good mirrors. Our mirrors now give a wonderful reflection of who we are. But Paul says, now we see in a poor reflection as in the mirror, then we will see with clarity. Monday, I spent about 8 hours working in the high school room, painting the ceiling. Oil-based paint. Any of you ever use oil-based paint? It's a mess. I was in there and I was spraying for about 2 hours, and I thought, man, I'm getting it all over myself and whatnot, and it's smelly, and I ended up quitting because I ran out of paint, and I went to the bathroom and I looked at myself. Whoa, totally different color skin. All black. I was all black. I was going to wear shorts and a t-shirt. I'm glad I didn't. Smart enough to wear a long sleeve shirt and long pants. A mess. My glasses were a mess. I had to go down and have somebody at the eyeglass place clean my glasses. So I thought, the afternoon, I'll buy goggles. I bought goggles. What happened to my goggles? They got all black. So I'm spraying in there, and I can't see really what I'm doing. If you go in there now, you'll see where I missed. Don't look real close. It's up on you'll see it. We're going to try to cover it up. But I was looking in a mirror dimly, without clarity. And I miss things. We tend to, within our lives, we don't see the whole picture. When I got all done, I was able to put on some lights. I was able to put my glasses back on, look up there, go, whoa, I missed areas. But that's okay, because we're going to put lights up there and you're never going to look at the ceiling. But I missed areas. The reality within our life, when we don't see the whole picture. We don't see the whole picture. God sees the whole picture. With that, if God is all-powerful, and if God is able to, why does He allow suffering? Why didn't He create a world without suffering? Well, the reality is He did. God is not the author of evil or the creator of evil.